I've been waiting 70 episodes to say this. Million Dollar Baby? Or like Billion Dollar Maybe. Thanks.
What?
Thank you. Yeah.
Kind of makes zero sense.
No, I do deserve it. Yes,
Who are
thank
you
you.
waving at?
Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4. These boys only want the best stuff. They want the cream of the crop. They don't want none of that Michael Bay shit. They want the shit that pops. Oscar bait, black and white. Maybe something French. If it's got more than one explosion, honey, put that shit on the bench. Oscar Wieners, Oscar Wieners, Oscar Wieners. These boys are the Oscar Wieners.
Yum, yum.
Oscar Wieners.
Welcome to Oscar Wieners,
Squelcome.
the only show on the internet where Hollywood's biggest night is a bad daddy.
A bad daddy?
Bad daddy. Badaddy.
He's a badaddy. That's what the kids are saying these days.
Yeah. I am ESPN.
Okay. Wow. Big get.
In the
Big pull for this show. Wow, big pull for this show. I didn't realize ESPN was a living, breathing person.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And I'm, of course, let me check my notes. Dangerous dealer fighting Flippo Bam Bam Barch himself
Beautiful. I can't believe it. We got him.
in the flesh, baby.
No, I'm Michael. He's Ander.
Yeah.
And this is a show where we could pick a Best Picture winner at random and try to figure out if it's Best Picture worthy. And this week we are talking about the 2005. Yeah,
My bad.
5 Best Picture winner. Million Dollar Baby. Directed by Clint Eastwood. He's back. And
Better
he's
than ever.
haggard, more haggard than ever.
He really is haggard in this one. He's
Actually,
he's
that scene
seconds from becoming dust
that
before our
scene where
eyes.
he eats a bowl of just like gravel is crazy.
It's one of the saddest things I've ever seen.
Yeah. Million Dollar Baby. Obviously directed by whatever his name is. And it stars Hilary Swank as Maggie Fitzgerald,
Mhm.
who starts going to this gym. She's from Missouri. She starts going to this gym in Los Angeles. That's owned and run by Clint Eastwood's character, whose name is Frankie Dunn.
Frankie.
Kind of run by him and also Clint Eastwood's like longtime friend and kind of he's like Morgan Freeman plays Eddie Scrap Iron Dupree, probably one of the cooler names ever. Who's like kind of the janitor of the place, but also just kind of like hangs out. Like it's
Yeah,
Clint Eastwood doesn't really
friends.
expect. Yeah, he's like, yeah, you can live here. I don't care. Live at the gym. We're buds. We've been friends for like 40 years, 50 years.
Though you wouldn't know it by the way that they interact. Actually, I guess you would. They kind of just have that gruff old man friendship.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally pretty much all, even Hilary Swank by a certain point, like all the characters, characters love each other in this movie when they insult each other.
Interesting. Interesting economy of words for Clint.
Yeah.
Gives us a little window into his life.
He's like, I don't know how to say I'm sorry, but if I call you a fucking piece of shit, that means I love you to death. Yeah, so Frankie Dunn, he's old as hell. He runs this gym. His daughter doesn't talk to him. He keeps sending her letters. She keeps sending them back.
But we don't know that. I didn't. That's kind of a reveal.
It's a great reveal.
It is a great reveal, I will admit. Yeah.
Because Frankie Dunn goes to church every Sunday, seemingly to antagonize the priest.
Yeah, this priest hates this guy's fucking guts, which is hilarious.
He's
He
like,
calls him a fucking pagan.
he's like, tell me about the Immaculate Conception, Father, you fucking idiot.
He just heckles him.
Yeah. And then the priest is always like, he's always like, have you written your daughter? And he's like, yes, I have. And he's like, wow, you're lying to a priest too. And then you find out he actually has been writing to his daughter. He
Yeah,
sent her like a
boxes of
million
letters.
letters. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
which is really sad.
it is really
All
sad.
get returned to sender. And I don't know how Morgan Freeman knows all this, by the way, but he's narrating the whole thing as if like he's God himself.
Yeah. Did you know that when this movie started and Morgan Freeman started narrating that you were in for just an incredible ride?
I didn't realize he was going to be narrating the whole thing. I did have the thought that God, Clint Eastwood really loves his labored opening crawls and monologues.
Totally.
It's just Morgan Freeman explaining boxing to us for the longest time. It's like two dances in the ring together. Only one gets the ever-loving shit beat out of them.
He has this line. So Maggie, Hilary Swank's character,
Mhm.
comes to the gym from Missouri. She's living in LA. She's like a waitress. And she wants to be trained by Clint. And she starts coming to the gym and like keeps like hassling him, like, please train me, please train me. He's like, no, no, no. I don't train girls. But it's really
Yeah.
because he has a complicated relationship with his daughter that he doesn't want to train her. That's the
So-
subtext. I don't know if you guys got that. But Morgan Freeman's narration, he has this line about describing Maggie's character where he says, I wrote it down because it's one of the cooler things I've ever heard. I'm not going to do his accent because I can't.
Okay.
Nobody sounds like him. She came from southwestern Missouri, the hills outside the scratch-ass Ozark town of Theodosia, set in the cedars and oak trees somewhere between nowhere and goodbye. If that isn't the coolest shit you've ever heard in your life, you have no soul.
That is cool. It really walks the line, though, I think. I think
Where,
a
like,
lot
between
of...
being like overwritten.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hearing it, I'm like, I know... I'm thinking because I'm like, I know Mike loves this shit because of how much you like Unforgiven. And the writing is... Clint does write these, right?
No.
Interesting. 'Cause it's very much his voice.
I have to imagine he's very involved in the script. Like,
Okay.
if he isn't like actually putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard or whatever, like he's
Definitely not, by the way. Definitely not.
He's like, I don't do that shit. I'm not a wuss.
I'm on my iPad.
I imagine though he's like talking to the writer and being like, fix it. Maybe not though. Clint has a reputation, especially later in his directing career, as like he does one take and he's done.
Yeah, very curt style.
Yeah. So who knows? Have you seen this movie before?
No, never in my life. I like a boxing framework for a movie. It's really the perfect framework for a film.
Yeah.
Because you really get the metaphorical aspect of two characters or two ideologies or a character and their own ideology fighting with each other, and then it's presented in real life in the ring. It's just the perfect setup for a movie.
What did you think of this movie?
I thought it was good. I wasn't going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over it. I think for a boxing movie, I wanted a bit more of like, I don't want to, should I get right into the ending of this thing? Because it is a bleak overall film.
It's a rough movie. Yeah. So Maggie keeps hassling Clint to train her. Eventually he does start training her because kind of early in the movie, Clint has this like other boxer that he was the manager of. And the guy's like, can you put me up for a title fight, please? Like, we've been doing this for like 8 years and like, you've never put me up for a title fight. And I think I'm ready. He's like, no, 2 to 3 more fights.
Yeah. And he literally will never give him a championship fight.
Yeah. You kind of get the sense that like Clint is afraid of putting his boxers because he
briefs or otherwise.
Huh?
His boxers, briefs or otherwise.
Yeah, he's afraid of putting his boxers and also his underwear.
Yeah.
Like sort of putting them in too much danger.
Yeah.
And you get the sense that Clint Eastwood just blames himself for, I mean,
He does.
he's a bad dad, you know, he like blames himself for a million different things. So this
Yeah.
fighter that he's training at the beginning of the movie, like leaves him because he wants to actually get a title fight. He ends up becoming the champion in that fight that he gets like immediately after that.
Tough break.
Tough break. And then Clint, he's like, all right, let me start training Maggie. He's like, it seems like he wants to keep training and managing somebody.
Yeah. And
I
she's
guess
literally
it'd
in
be
the
her.
gym she basically lives there. She's there
Yeah.
for 8 hours a day,
Yeah.
just until the lights close.
Yeah. And that's once he starts training her, the movie kind of just becomes like that's maybe like the first half an hour. Then he starts training her. Then like an hour goes by. She gets a little bit, she trains, she gets better. Then she starts doing like all these fights and she keeps knocking people out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we can dig into like more of the stuff that happens in between, but you want to get to the ending. So like the ending, uh,
Well,
yeah,
let me jump in here.
yeah, go ahead.
Um, she finally gets him to crack and is like, all right, I set you up for a title fight because she's great. She's beating every single opponent in the first round and like the early part of the first round, just absolutely steamrolling everybody. And he's like, all right, fine, I'll relent. We can do this title fight against this woman in
She's like
England.
a German, yeah, she's like a German lady, and she's like insane.
But not before her. She does do a title fight with, I think they say it's a Jamaican woman, but it's for like the British title or something like that.
Yeah, no, yeah, sorry,
And
yeah,
that's where
you're
she gets this whole nickname, which I forget what it is. It's something in Gaelic because Frankie is reading Gaelic for some reason. But she gains all this notoriety and becomes like a people's champion of sorts. People start to hear about her. She's got notoriety, so it gets her this title fight against an opponent who's probably maybe overmatched. Like she's overmatched against this other opponent. I'm trying to find her name. Blue Bear. They call her Blue Bear.
Yeah,
kind of a sick nickname.
Yeah, pretty cool.
But she's a notoriously dirty fighter. So during the fight, they're sparring, they're swapping blows. She takes a few cheap shots, and then Blue Bear hits our hero with a cheap hook, knocks her out, and she clips her neck on the stool.
And then she's paralyzed from the neck down.
Yeah. The rest of the movie takes place in a hospital, pretty much.
That's like, yeah, it's like the last 40 minutes. It's pretty long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I did like that they didn't just inciting incident cut to black. We get to see some of the aftermath of the inciting incident, which I think a lot of movies just decide to, that was a shocking moment. Let's get the hell out of here. Bye-bye credits. And that's annoying. So I like that they explored it a little bit. What I found odd and honestly didn't really sit well with me, she asks Frankie to basically euthanize her, to unplug her life support, to cut off her breathing tube because she's going to be paralyzed. She doesn't want to, if she can't be a fighter, she doesn't want to live anymore. And I can't help but think, like, what kind of message does it send? I feel like in society, we want somebody to be one thing and to be obsessively focused on one thing. And Maggie was a boxer. And I think Clint Eastwood's direction is that Maggie is a boxer or she dies. And I find that so deflating. I wanted so badly for her to find second life and second wind. I feel like that would be such a triumphant moment. I think they lost that opportunity. Maybe that's me just imparting what I wanted to see on the movie and not getting that. But I do think it suffered as a result. I think it's just sending a weird message that she has to be pigeonholed into this one role. And if she can't fight, she can't live. I thought that was just so odd. I think they could have gone a much different direction with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies like that where it's like, yeah, the person is just one thing, and if they lose that, they're kind of they're
like,
nothing.
Yeah, like this person's an artist, and if they're not an artist, they would turn into dust instantly because they love art. If they fucking love art so hard that if they couldn't do it, they would just not exist.
Yeah,
I find that rather irksome.
I know what you mean. I mean, it's hard to be like, it's hard to think of the characters in the movie having agency outside of like where their destiny is leading because the screenwriter is writing them towards it. if that makes sense. But I do think like there are moments where like Clint Eastwood doesn't want her. He doesn't want to kill her, and he doesn't want her to
No,
die. And
no.
he's like he like at one point he's looking through like city college manuals. He's like, I don't know, maybe you can go like back to school.
Hmm.
Like he's trying to imagine a future for her, and she's like, I don't. I do think though to that point. So let me come right out and say it. I think this movie is amazing.
Really?
Unbelievable.
Do we just want to cut and paste the Unforgiven episode like right here and just
Yeah, I guess so. I don't
yeah.
think it's as good as Unforgiven, but Unforgiven is a perfect movie, and I think Million
Okay.
Dollar Baby is only close to perfect or whatever.
Interesting.
Um,
Okay.
I think it's such a beautiful movie about like legacy. I love how fucking sad it is. I talked about Clint Eastwood kind of being, people say he's kind of a lazy director, like he only does one take or whatever. I actually feel like his very simple kind of camera setups, simple blocking, it actually like makes the movie feel kind of like it's lost in a rut, like the same way that Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman are just kind of like, what are our lives? Like, what are we supposed to do? Like, not that they feel purposeless, but it is a little bit like it's like these guys are at a certain age where they're like, we've lived the best years of our lives, and now
Hmm.
like, what is left of them? Like, are we just gonna kind of like hang around until we're fucking dead? And I think Maggie. I think the juxtaposition of Maggie wanting to die, having experienced like the top, the highest, like the highest like
Basically,
version
yeah.
of what she wanted to accomplish. The
Hmm.
only thing higher than that was that she like, obviously wasn't paralyzed and won the belt and stuff, but like she got there. She was in the match. She fought like really well. She was coming back, and then the Blue Bear gave her like a really dirty shot.
Yeah.
So it's like Maggie is satisfied. Maggie wants to die because she's like, she's only like 32, 33, but she's like, I'm good. This is what I wanted and I got it. Like, I don't need any more. And I think it's interesting to juxtapose that with like Morgan Freeman and Clint Eastwood, especially Clint Eastwood. Morgan Freeman's less haunted. Clint Eastwood's really haunted
Yeah, big
as
time.
a character.
Really haunted, but I'm not sure by what. I guess it's because of his time as a manager, or is it his time as a boxer. Was he a boxer?
I don't know. That's a good point.
It's
I don't
not
know if he
really
was a boxer. I don't
discussed.
think he was a boxer. I think
He's
Morgan
got a
Freeman was a boxer.
nickname. He's got a nickname as if he was an old title fighter or something, but I don't know
Yeah,
if he boxed to the extent that Morgan Freeman's character, Eddie,
Eddie.
boxed. Yeah. Uh,
Um, I think he's more haunted by like just that he was a bad dad, and he's like all these years have gone
yeah.
by, and I fucked it up like because he's old. I mean, Clint Eastwood is old. He's old. He's like 95 now. When this came out, he was like 75.
He
He's
was
like
somehow older back then. He was 107 when this movie came out.
so his character like Frankie's character is like he's like I fucked this up so long ago, and there's like so little time left to repair it. And it's like it either has to happen now or it never will. And like I go to the grave with this. And I just think that juxtaposition of like old guys having all this time left, or having technically all this time left, but there's, how do I say this? They have time left to fix whatever's haunting them.
The old people or Maggie?
The Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman. They're old at the end
Okay.
of their life, but they still have time. Maggie is like, I've accomplished everything. I'm good to go. I'm young, but I'm fine. And they're like old and haunted and have a lot to fix, but like they're like, I don't know if I ever will. Like I just think that juxtaposition is really like beautifully handled.
Hmm. I don't know if she's.
Perfect. Perfect movie. Masterpiece.
I mean, there's definitely her relationship with her own family. Although it's not necessarily her fault. She's the one who's delivering on that side of the relationship, and they're just scumbags who are blood sucking losers, pretty
almost
much.
they're almost like caricatures of like southern like kind of
I
white trashy. Like it's almost like I wish there was a little bit more nuance with their characters, but I'm like, whatever, it does what it has to do.
I love them so much, I should say. I think they're incredible. First of all, we got her mom as notorious character actress Margot Martindale, which
Oh,
that's a
really?
home run. Yeah, home run right off the bat. Um, at one point, Maggie buys her a new house with the money that she's earned from boxing. And she's totally like, this sucks, basically. Like,
She's like,
you've
the
screwed us.
government's
I
going
can't
to
get
take away
welfare
our
anymore.
welfare, you
Yeah.
dummy.
Which is an interesting point. I was like, maybe she should have considered, she should have talked to her about it, but
Yeah.
she's definitely presented like totally ungrateful, not a
Yeah.
good mom, not present. Her sister is also not present. Her brother's literally in jail, and then he gets out of jail, and then he's not present and abusive. But they come to visit her in the hospital when they learn of her paralysis. They show up to the hospital 6 days after they'd arrived in California, and they have all this Disney gear on. They've been in Disney World for 6 days, just having a blast. They're wearing like Woody Woodpecker t-shirts, and they look insane. They're like, I want to see my daughter, blah, blah, blah.
But they're really just there with their fucking snaky lawyer to just like get all of Maggie's money.
100%. Yeah, they suck. And she tells them off. And I guess maybe you could argue that that is closure in their relationship. She realizes their true character. And then, although she doesn't get the chance to reconcile it all, she realizes for herself that these are people who are trying to take advantage of her and don't deserve her appreciation.
Yeah. And it's like so beautiful to me. Like, I think also Maggie maybe is ready to go because she's like, it seems like she was really close with her father, and then he died like a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I mean, it's very like simple, like kind of like you've seen it a million times, but I think the way it's done here of like the surrogate roles that Clint fills for Maggie and Maggie fills for Clint are just like, it's like so just elegant shit. And I think like Maggie feels like she's ready to go because it's like, well, I know like Frankie cares about me like a lot,
Mm-hmm.
like so much.
So she has
almost,
that somebody.
Yeah, and she's like, I don't need anything else. Like he's here for me. Man, this movie. And then you find out that
Crying.
The last like half an hour of this movie, I'm just like just crying consistently the whole time. I'd never seen it before. I knew that she became paralyzed and stuff.
Although what she says towards the end bugs me a little bit.
What she says?
She's giving Frankie, aka Clint Eastwood's character, giving him a rundown of why she wants to end things. And she cites, I had the magazines, I had the notoriety. And I thought that was such a weird turn for her character. Like, why is that the measure of her success? I thought it came so out of left field that she would mention something like that. And I thought it was weird that we would be, as an audience, asked to measure her success by that. And that didn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think external factors should have had any play at all.
Like Unforgiven, I do think this movie is Clint Eastwood wrestling with like, is making movies good? Is the way I've spent my time, is that a good thing that I did for my whole life? Like, I think like boxing is almost like his way to work through that of being like, is there any point to this shit? Like, couldn't I have been doing like other stuff? Couldn't I have been like a better father without this shit? I don't know. And like Unforgiven is like, is my image as like a cowboy hero? Like I was basically glorifying violence, and that's bad.
Yeah.
I think like there's similar stuff going on.
It feels much more concrete in Unforgiven though. Like, I can tell that that's what his aim is.
Right.
I definitely see Clint Eastwood's character in each movie, them having overlaps. I see a lot of
kind of a grizzled guy.
Yes. In fact, while I was watching this, I was already formulating a Clint Eastwood cinematic universe in my head but I guess the timelines don't add up. I do think that Gran Torino is the natural extension of this character for sure.
100%.
I
was thinking about Gran Torino
could actually be connected.
I was trying to think about. I know I've seen Gran Torino at least like twice. That was like weirdly a big movie when it came. It was maybe
I
nominated for
like
Best
Gran
Picture when it came
Torino.
out.
Yeah.
I don't know how it holds up now because he says a lot of slurs and
He
stuff.
does. Yeah, he does.
Um,
But he does
but
play the same sort of protector role, like
yeah.
unwitting protector role of a young woman.
Yeah, and I think I'm trying. I couldn't remember if like maybe I can't remember if like his family doesn't talk to him in that one either,
They
or like
don't.
is
Yeah.
that what it is?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's so similar. It could actually be the same guy. I wonder if it actually, hold on. Give me 9.5 seconds. His name is his name is Walt Kowalski.
That is so sick.
That is pretty sick.
God, we got to cover We should make a Gran Torino podcast just dedicated to Gran Torino.
I'm not doing I'm not doing a podcast where we cover just one movie. We've been over this.
I, yeah, I love Clooney. His politics aside and his personal life aside, just as a movie star and director, I
Yeah.
love the man so much.
I gotta give it to him. He's got a style. And that's so hard to come by. Like this is so uniquely him, I think.
100%.
And I thought about what you said about because I think in Unforgiven also had a similar score. And you said
very,
that maybe
like-
it's just him with the guitar. I wonder if it's him with the guitar in this movie. I think it rips. I think it's just a lone guitar playing random arpeggiated chords.
I'm seeing here on Wikipedia the music is by Clint Eastwood.
Nice. A true artist. That is
It's like-
Listen, it's impressive. It's good. I like it a lot.
The studio, like Warner Brothers, is like, Clint, do you want to get what composer do you want on this one? He's like, shut the fuck up. I got an acoustic in the corner. Just set me up with some studio time.
Clint, what are you working on back here? Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up, you wuss.
I'm working on my
Fuck up,
opus.
you woke lib.
I'm
You have the
working on-
woke mind virus. I heard about it from Elon.
Don't sit in this chair. I'm talking to it.
Obama. What did you think of the Morgan Freeman subplot? Like the A plot is Maggie and Frankie, but then there's the subplot of Morgan Freeman staying at the gym while Frankie and Maggie are out on the road, and he's defending Jay Baruchel as you said the name earlier, Dangerous Dillard fighting Flippo Bam Bam Barch.
No. It's Dangerous Dealer. Oh, no. Is it Dillard? Maybe I
Dillard,
just misheard. Yeah. Oh, that changes everything.
He's defending Jay Baruchel, Danger, from fucking the Falcon. And our friend from Crash, Michael Pena, is Omar.
It was so bizarre them to get Morgan Freeman, Michael Pena, Anthony Mackie, and seeing Jay Baruchel at all gave me whiplash like a motherfucker.
It is pretty weird. It's a good performance though.
Yeah, it's fine. It's great, but it's crazy that he looks exactly the same throughout time.
Just like a skinny little guy.
Yeah, it's an interesting subplot. At first, I was like, this movie doesn't have room for two upstart underdogs. But then his subplot is kind of just pushed aside for a long swath of time.
It
and
is. He disappears
back.
for like 40 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But
basically, he's in a very similar way. I don't know why all these Southerners are moving to LA out of nowhere, but he's from like some rural Texas town.
Yeah.
And his dad basically, or his stepdad, just dropped him off here and then left, which is really sad. But he decides, I'm going to go to the gym and take on the welterweight champion of the world. And then Morgan Freeman gives to us in a little bit of voiceover that the welterweight champion of the world that he wants to fight so badly retired like 8 years ago or something like that. So he's really he's just punching air and yelling his own name. And Anthony Mackie, aka Sherelle, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Wants to fight him so bad. He just wants to beat the shit out of this kid, which is he sucks. He's maybe the worst character. Fucking 80-year-old ass Morgan Freeman beats the shit out of him with one glove.
So good, and it's set up so beautifully. Like Maggie, Morgan Freeman has this. What's his Eddie? Yeah,
Eddie.
Eddie's talking to Maggie about like, Yeah, I had 109 fights. Like you never know when your last fight's gonna be. You never know how many fights you have in you. For me, it was 109.
Yeah.
And then Sherelle beats the shit out of Danger. Morgan Freeman gets in the ring. He's like, Danger, give me one of your gloves for a second.
One glove.
And as soon as he started doing it, I'm like, this is gonna be so cool.
And he
And
just
it is.
destroys him.
Beats the shit out of Sherelle. And I know like might not be realistic, but it
No.
rules. And
I
then he
think
says
Clint, yeah.
once he finishes, he's like 110, and like he shakes his hand because he punched him in the face. Oh my god, it's so good.
That was
Sherelle
cool.
even spits out a tooth.
It's very over the top. I could tell Clint Eastwood has a fascination for old people just doing crazy shit.
Morgan Freeman literally
Which,
tells him,
sure, more power to him.
yeah, you could tell it's made by like an old guy who's like these fucking kids, like because
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman literally Eddie says to Sherelle like once he knocks him out, he's like, "Get a job, punk," and I'm like, that's the most Clint Eastwood's like, "What do you say, get a job? These
Yeah.
kids don't want to work anymore."
And punk is like his epithet. Like that's his signature for sure. I'm like, that's the
Yes.
most Clint line I could think of.
Weirdly, Morgan Freeman plays a very Clint Eastwood character in this. Like, I feel like in
He
Unforgiven,
does.
Morgan Freeman isn't playing like a Clint Eastwood surrogate also, but I do think Eddie Dupree is a very Clint character, like where he's like
Actually,
kind of gravelly. He's like very like tough as nails. He is more emotional, I would say, than Frankie. He's a little bit more connected to the people.
I think he's almost the same exact character that he plays in Unforgiven.
Oh, really? Okay.
I do. Because he's like kind of like his friend and confidant and his voice of reason whenever Clint Eastwood's character is being
I'm
so
reading Gaelic.
headstrong
Get
about
the
something.
fuck out of my office.
Yeah. I don't think they say one nice thing to each other throughout the whole movie.
Do you know who wrote this movie?
Flint Westwood?
I'll give you one guess, but let me set it up first.
Okay.
So early in the movie, when we're introduced to Danger, Danger's first scene is he goes up to Eddie Dupree and is like, "I just want you to know I'm not racist," and proceeds to say a bunch of
Yeah,
slurs
yeah,
at Morgan
yeah.
Freeman. And it's kind of played for a laugh. Who do you think we've covered one of his movies
Holy
before? Who do
shit.
you think would make a movie in which racism is treated with like levity?
You're telling me fucking Haggis is on this shit? Unbelievable.
The
But totally
screenplay
believable.
by Paul Haggis.
Wow. What a twist.
It was like
God,
a
that
jump
makes
scare when
so
it came
much
up.
sense.
It was like a jump scare.
So really Crash is part of the cinematic universe.
They take place in the same, yeah. I mean,
Interesting.
LA, right?
Yeah, Michael Pena's character learns the error of his ways of supporting a jerk Anthony Mackie and just becomes a locksmith.
And a father.
And a goddamn father.
He sees how Clint Eastwood's fucking up. He's like, I'm gonna be a good dad.
He saw Morgan Freeman punch the ever loving shit out of Falcon and said, I'm going to be a father for this.
Yeah.
God, that's incredible.
It was really startling. I'd like to think he has some talent at the end of his pen, but I really think this is a testament to collaboration, a master director coming in and getting his fingers on your words.
There, I think it's so hit or miss, though. There are some lines that are absolute gold, and there's some that just feel so heavy-handed to me.
Yeah.
One line I did really like, when Maggie is overtime at the gym and it's like closing time, and Eddie and Frankie are both in there just chopping it up, and then he hears the heavy bag. And you know it's her because she's always there late at night. And he goes, "What's that noise?" And you could have just had Morgan Freeman say, "Oh, Maggie's here." But instead he just goes, "It's her birthday." And you're like, "Oh, that's good. That's a good bit of writing."
It's true. Yeah, it cuts like it's like you cut past like 10 different lines, like, and you
Yeah,
just cut to like yeah, it's so true.
that was very good.
Yeah.
And it was her birthday.
Poor Maggie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then the end, Clint Eastwood uh
Just eating some pie.
eat some pie. No, well, he takes apart her respirator, so she obviously can't breathe. Because she can't even breathe on her own, which is horrible.
No, which doesn't make sense that you can speak, but I guess that's fine.
Yeah, it's kind
I guess
yeah,
movies.
I guess you're right. I'll give that plot hole to Paul Haggis.
Yeah, thanks, Haggis.
Um, and then he also gives her like I I think Morgan Freeman's narration is like he gave her like more adrenaline. Like he gave her enough adrenaline for like fucking like 10 men or something like that.
Yeah, so
and
she
yeah,
would
just like
definitely die.
yeah, I guess she would have like a heart attack or something. I don't know. Uh, yeah, and
But
it's a
then he kind of
bummer.
disappears. Like he doesn't really reconvene with Eddie at all, or at least we don't think he does. He doesn't reconvene with his daughter. Actually, it turns out that Eddie's whole monologue narrating the movie is him writing a letter to Frankie's daughter, which she's not going to open that. Like, what do we think is going to like? She hasn't.
She might if it's like a random guy. She's like, who's this?
So she hasn't opened like 200 of her dad's letters to her, but she's like, "Oh, my dad's friend just wrote me. Let me fucking see what this is about."
God, I fucking love this shit. This movie's so good.
Yeah,
Go see it
yeah. Why not?
or don't.
TNT is spinning this thing on repeat, so check it out whenever.
Yeah. Watch it now or just watch it in like 10-minute chunks over the next 3 to 4 years.
It's the best way to. Honestly, that is the intended experience for sure.
That's how Clint wants it. I actually think you should watch a movie on your phone.
I just saw Amelia Perez and I thought it was pretty dynamite. I watched it on Sling TV.
The Brutalist? I don't know. I thought it was all right, but I would never give the Oscar to a man named Brady. That's the name of a wuss.
That's a woman's name. Clint Eastwood is the kind of guy who's, I feel like, never seen another movie, or at least like a modern film. He has not seen
That's
Coda.
a woman's name. Yeah, he only watches his own movies.
I
don't
can
have time to watch Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
There's no way he's seen Star Wars: The Last Jedi. There's no chance.
Spaceships are for wusses and girls.
Luke? That's a fucking girl's name. Kissed his sister? That's some fucking sick shit. I would only kiss my stand-in daughter.
Oh, man.
Did you ever think that they were going to be romantically involved at any point during this movie? There was maybe a moment where I was a little bit worried.
He does say to her, he's like, if you win this fight, I'll propose to you. And like, she kind of looks at him like,
maybe that'd
where
be
I'm like,
fine.
wait, are they in love with each other?
Yeah, she gives him a look like maybe I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Which is odd.
All right. Would you like to hear the other nominees for the year of 2005?
Yeah, what's going on? What's happening in the world of movies?
So first up, we have a Martin Scorsese joint.
Whoa.
A movie I love. A movie that weirdly I watched a lot on TV.
Okay, another TNT classic.
And I also let me say what it is first. It's The Aviator.
Oh, with DiCaprio.
With DiCaprio. A biopic depicting the life of filmmaker and aviation pioneer Howard Hughes from 1927 to 1947, during which time he became a successful film producer and an aviation magnate, while simultaneously growing more unstable due to severe obsessive compulsive disorder.
Imagine being an aviation magnate.
You can only do that like in the 30s, though. Like, who's an aviation magnate? All the planes are falling out of the sky. Nobody's an aviation magnate.
You could be a...
It's more like you're like a space magnate now.
Yeah, that's the future, probably.
Yeah. So I love this movie. And also, like, I distinctly remember I had a great uncle who would come over, like, to visit.
Mm-hmm.
My grandpa's brother.
Sure.
And he was old enough that, like, he's like, yeah, I remember Howard Hughes. And he would, like, tell me about Howard, like, just, like, hearing about Howard Hughes. And it was weird, like, hearing that, like, a man who, like, actually, like, knew that history kind of, like, it was like happening when he was like a kid, and then
Do
like
you know
watching
him
the movie.
personally?
No, but just like he's like, oh yeah, Howard Hughes. Like I remember when this happened, like the
Oh,
Spruce
okay.
Goose flying that big ass plane, like all this shit. And I was like, then watching the movie, I was like, oh man, this is fucking cool as hell.
That is cool.
I don't know. So I always like kind of I have like a dear spot in my heart for that movie.
Okay.
Um, Also Martin Scorsese directs his face off.
He directs his fucking heart out.
Yeah. Next up, we have Mark Forster's Finding Neverland. During a writing slump, playwright J.M. Barrie, played by Johnny Depp, I assume, meets a widow, played by Kate Winslet, I assume, and her 4 children, all young boys, who soon become an important part of Barrie's life and the inspiration that lead him to create his masterpiece, Peter Pan.
Peter Pan. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, now I see it. Now I see it.
I will never see this movie. I don't give a hoot.
Wow. Stick it to Disney.
Next up, it is Taylor Hackford's Ray, starring Jimmy Fox as the titular Ray Charles,
Yeah.
who was born on a sharecropping plantation in northern Florida. Ray Charles went blind at 7. Inspired by a fiercely independent mom who insisted he make his own way, he found his calling and his gift behind a piano keyboard. Touring across the southern musical circuit, the soulful singer gained a reputation and then exploded with worldwide fame when he pioneered coupling gospel and country together.
He really does have a unique style, that Ray Charles.
I mean, he's a legend. What more can you say?
Yeah. Two
I've never
thumbs up
seen
for
this
Ray
movie.
Charles. I don't know about this. I've never seen this movie either, but
Yeah.
Sure, I would watch it.
Yeah, why not? Finally.
Yeah.
We have an Alexander Payne joint.
Ouch.
It is Sideways. It's
And the
Sideways.
crowd goes wild with recognition.
Starring Paul Giamatti and Thomas Hayden Church,
Okay.
who are 2 middle-aged men who embark on a spiritual journey through Californian wine country.
I'm fucking sideways in California wine country.
Men shouldn't go on a wine tour. That's for women. Men should go to a shooting range and ride a horse.
Men should only drink fucking milk.
Yeah, so 2 guys go on a fucking wine tour. One is an unpublished novelist suffering from depression, and the other is only days away from walking down the aisle.
What? Yeah,
I hear this movie's really good.
Okay.
Maybe I'll see
I
it
completely
one day.
forgot what it was about. He
Yeah, who
goes to
cares?
wine country and gets married.
Paul Giamatti and Thomas Hayden Church are 2 guys. They go to wine country. I think Paul Giamatti is the depressed, unpublished novelist, and Thomas Hayden Church, I believe, is the one getting married soon.
Okay.
I think they have various conflicts.
I feel like the various conflicts are the part that I want to know about in order to determine whether I should watch this movie. Going to wine country and your friend getting married is not enough to reel me in.
I don't know. I love a movie about an unpublished novelist.
Sure, why not?
Do you think $1 Million Baby is Best Picture worthy?
Yeah, I do.
You seem skeptical, folks.
I'm a little skeptical. I feel like my criteria for is this Best Picture worthy changes from episode to episode, but
Yeah.
This is another event where I haven't seen. You know what? Finding Nemo came out this year.
That was
No, it
2003.
No, it didn't.
Year before.
This might have been Wall-E.
I think that's 2000.
No, this
7,
might have
8?
been Toy Story 2.
That's 1999, dude.
Okay, this might have been. I don't know. Sure, I'll give it a Best Picture.
I think it was The Incredibles was 2004.
The Incredibles. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, I do like The Incredibles better than this.
I do. The Incredibles is a perfect masterpiece.
Did it win Best Animated Feature?
If it probably, the Pixar basically has this sweeps that award basically every year for like over a decade. Yes, it did. Want to hear the other
Nice.
nominees for Best Animated Feature Film? There are only
Yeah.
3 of them.
Weird. Hit me.
Incredibles wins,
Okay.
directed by Brad Bird. Then we have Bill Damascus's Shark Tale.
Oh my fucking god, dude! Shark Tale wins Best Picture. Hands down.
Well, hold your tongue because the final Best Animated Feature nominee is Shrek 2.
Oh, stacked category.
Directed
All
by-
those movies are better than $1 Million Baby.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, but it's true, and I think a lot of people would agree with me. When we first started this show, I was gonna have my rating criteria be, is it better than Shark Tale? Because I think if a movie is as good or better than Shark Tale, it's worth watching. And if it's worse than Shark Tale, it's not worth watching. Thoughts?
How many stars do you give Shark Tale, though?
Shark Tale is unstarable. It is the perfect median. It is just absolute. It's not a perfect movie. It's not an awful movie. It's just pure entertainment where it's like, yes, I saw this. It's not great, but I like it. I would recommend it to somebody. That should be the bar. And frankly, I don't think $1 Million Baby clears that bar. I'm sorry.
I remember seeing Shark Tale in a theater in Queens, New York.
Nice. Weird. Why?
I don't want to geolocate anybody, but
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
I was in the
Yeah.
area, let's say.
Okay, it's because somebody listening to this is going to track you down for where you were fucking 18 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah. You, I assume, think this is a Best Picture slam dunkaroo?
I forgot I hadn't answered that yet. 100%. I do think Incredibles is 5 out of 5. This is 4.5 out of 5.
So Incredibles over this.
I would choose Incredibles over this.
Interesting.
Would I put The Aviator over this? I don't think I would. It's close though. It's neck and neck between if we're doing just Best Picture nominees. I do love The Aviator though.
I would like to watch Aviator.
It's really good. It is like 3 hours, but the thing is, Scorsese, every time he has a 3-hour movie, often he makes it feel like it's pretty brisk.
Yeah, that guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So I don't. Yeah, Best $1 Million Baby is 100% Best Picture worthy for me.
All right. Well, that's all well and good, but would you like to hear? Would you like a dose of reality? Others were kind enough to submit reviews about this very film. Would you like to hear a few of them?
I guess so.
Give me the name of somebody who's just tearing up a little bit sad to see this.
Fist in my ass, Wilson.
Fist in my ass, Wilson?
Fist in my ass.
Okay. That's all
Wilson.
Okay. Mr. Fist in my ass, Wilson says 1 star. I thought I loved this movie until I bought it and watched it with my wife again for the first time in years. We forgot how tragic the ending is and ended up bawling. So that was a fun date night. Nothing some Ben and Jerry's can't fix, though.
That's the most normcore ass review I've ever heard.
It truly is. It was jarring how normal it was. Thank you, Fist in my ass. Give me the name of somebody whose rocket ship has just crash landed on Earth.
Bibu Danubi.
Bibu Danubi says a single star. This movie was very difficult to watch because of how terrible it was. The acting was terrible. Clint Eastwood was especially bad. He could have been replaced by any old man. The girl had a goofy accent, and Morgan Freeman played Morgan Freeman, getting bossed around by Eastwood. The sound was terrible. The music was aesthetically very ugly. Most of it was Eastwood's wrinkly face, and the rest was dark and dingy, cheap sets. It's extremely slow and boring. This is akin to Nickelback and Walmart, American garbage, but loved by the masses. Embarrassment to the Oscars and an embarrassment to America.
Holy shit.
Just dunking hard. I'll take a turn for the more positive. Give me the name of somebody who's feeling who's just a really big Hilary Swank fan.
JD Vance.
Which I'm sure is true, by the way. JD Vance is out there wondering what happened to Hilary Swank and when can we get her in another film.
And can we make her Secretary of the Treasury?
They probably could and would. 5 stars from JD Vance. While watching as Hilary Swank received her second Best Actress Oscar in 5 years, I grew extremely pissed because she'd beat Annette Bening again. I understand why she won over her for her performance in Boys Don't Cry from 1999, but she beat her out again. I decided many moons ago that each year I'd collect all 5 of the Best Actress movies. Why? That meant, to my chagrin, that $1 Million Baby was completely necessary for my collection.
What is this review?
Hold on. No, he's not done. I can understand why Hillary received all the awards and hoopla that she did. And after I turned my DVD player off after the movie, I found myself a believer and a Hillary Swank fan. This is somebody who was an Annette Bening diehard and then was pissed because she lost and then became a Hillary Swank diehard.
Those other reviews?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for those.
Yeah.
Next week, we're going to talk. Next week, to anybody who listens to this, next week we'll either be talking.
We don't know, actually. At this moment in time, we don't know.
We're recording this on Oscars night. It's literally happening right now. So we'll see who. I'm going to say Anora wins. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Next week, we're talking about Anora. What do you say?
Wow. I say I'm not going to date myself. How about that? If Anora does win, this snippet, this little segment will go hard for sure.
Yeah, it's going to go viral even.
Could be. Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see. Until next time.
Brody's got something to say about that.
Until next time, make a hot dog mold of 2 boxing gloves and then beat the hell out of somebody in the ring with those things.
Great advice.
Sprinkle some mustard on one knuckle, ketchup on another, and just lay into them. See you next week, Wieners.
1, 2, 3, 4. These boys only want the best stuff. They want the cream of the crop. They don't want none of that microwave shit. They want the shit that bops. Oscar bait, black and white. Maybe something French. If it's got more than one explosion, honey, put that shit on the bench. Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners. These boys are the Oscar Wieners.
A man who wears jeans as poorly as Tim Cook does could never direct a movie.
Tim, come on the show.
He's
ideally with Clint Eastwood.